Namaste everyone. In this video we will see how to use Creo Parametric. So when you open Creo Parametric, the first screen that you see is going to look something like this. So you'll get some additional options here, get some pop-up windows. You can just close them down. And within Creo window, you will get a browser which shows a few websites. You can close this down as well. Now on the top right here, you see some options for file management. Now, the first thing that you should do every time you open Creo and start working with it is to set your working directory. Now the way to do it is you click on this working directory, select working directory button, and then you can just select a place where you would want all your files to be saved. Now this should be done at the beginning of the software itself, because unlike any other software, Creo Parametric creates all the files in the working directory, and also it tries to get any files that are associated with assembly or drawing from the same working directory. There are of course other folders which it will look into for getting these files, but it is always best a good idea to keep all the files in the working directory itself. So let's go ahead and select my working directory. I want this to be on my desktop in a folder by my name, and this is where I want all my files to be saved. So once you are inside the directory, you just need to click on OK, and now the working directory has been set. Now whatever file you create using new, or whatever file you try to open, they will come up from here itself. So you can see I have a couple of files already in my system in my working directory. So if I click open, selecting one of these, the file will open up. So you can see only one sketch is there in this particular file. So let me just close it. And whenever you want to clear the memory in order to save your RAM, it is a good idea to erase not displayed. So after closing all the files, they will still be using some of your RAM. So it is a good idea to erase not displayed and click OK. Now that all the files have been erased, your RAM is free to take up whatever load you want to put on it. So let's go ahead and create a new file. So in the new file dialog box, you have various different options. The first option is to create a sketch with constraints. And this sketch you can reuse in the different part modelings. Part modeling consists of an interface which allows you to model a 3D part, and a single part can be modeled in every part file, and these parts need to be assembled together. And in the assembly, you can also check out how the different parts are moving relative to each other. So our focus in this video will be mainly on sketching. So let's go ahead and choose sketch, give a name to this, let us say sketch, and click OK. So now that I've given the name, the file has been saved there, and I can start using this. So grid settings. All right, so let us first learn about the sketching elements. So all these options here located within these two vertical lines, they are all the sketching elements. And here we have the editing elements, which will help us to trim or create a corner or divide an already existing entity, mirror selected entities about a line, rotate and all. And here we have all the constraints, geometric constraints. Over here we have the option to create dimensions, new dimensions if you want to create them. So let's go ahead and learn all of these, how to use it. Now the first thing you should learn in Creo is how to go into the command and how to come out of the command. For people who are aware of other software, this might look a little different, so please focus here. So let me choose line command, and now you can see that button is pressed, and when I bring my cursor into the working area, you can see that a dot is attached to the cursor. Now when I click anywhere on this, and when I'm drawing, you can see the various geometric constraints get highlighted whenever my drawing entity gets snapped to a particular place. So you can see near the cursor on the right side, there is a symbol which is like horizontal line inside a circle, which means a horizontal constraint is being applied to this. When I move here, you can see that is gone. Now at this point the constraint will not be applied. So let me create a first horizontal line. Then when I drag it down, you can see when it is exactly vertical, it snaps and it creates it shows a symbol of a vertical line in a circle. So now a vertical line has been created, and when I click here in an empty area, you can there was no constraint created. Now the constraints are not visible at this point, and also there are no dimensions. But as soon as you come out of the command, dimensions and constraints will show up. Now the way to come out of the command is to press the middle mouse button on your mouse. So click the middle mouse button, and once again you have to click the middle mouse button to come out of this line command. So click the mid mouse button. Now you can see you're not only out of the line command, but also all the dimensions and geometric constraints have been created. So you can go on to modify these dimensions. Now the way with Creo is the minimum dimensions required to completely define your geometry will always be present in your sketch. Now sometimes these dimensions may not be to your liking, and you will be able to create other dimensions that you want. So the way to do that is from here, and the way to create new additional constraints is from here. We'll learn about more of these slowly as we experiment with more of these drawing entities. So for now, let us see how the diagram is moving. So to move the diagram, you can just click on any of the drawing and you can move it. So depending on what constraints are applied, the diagram will flexibly try to move. Now initially when the dimensions are created, they are slightly blue in color, you can see. Depending on the theme that you have applied on your Creo, the colors may be slightly different. But in any case, initially when the dimensions are created, there is something called as a weak dimension. Now the moment you double click on it and change its value to something more to your liking and click elsewhere, the color has slightly changed, you can see. This means that now this dimension is strong dimension because you have applied these dimensions. It has not been created by the software roughly based on whatever you had selected on the screen. So the same thing goes for every other dimension. You can go on to give whatever angle or dimensions you want, and think somewhere this is smaller. So whenever something goes out of the screen, you can just click on this window. It will bring everything that you have drawn into focus. Now at some points you might not want these dimensions. Let us say for this line I want a horizontal and a vertical dimension instead of having an angle and a horizontal length. So the way to do that is to click on the dimensions, click on the 2 points, and if I want a vertical distance between these two, I should not click in the middle. If I click in the middle, I will get an aligned dimension. You can see it is actually giving us the exact dimension. Now when I create this, there are 2 other strong dimensions which are resisting the creation of this. They are contradicting with this. All 3 cannot exist at the same time. So you will have to delete one of these. So all the dimensions which are fighting among themselves, which are contradicting themselves, get highlighted and they are listed here like this. So you need to just select one of these and delete it. So in this case, I don't want the angle. So I can just select angle either from the graphic area or here from the list and then click delete. And now you can see I not only have the horizontal length fixed, but it is also allowing me to edit the actual length. So I'll just slightly increase it. Now, sometimes you will not want this. Sometimes you will want to define the vertical distance. In such case, you will have to again click on these 2 buttons. And instead of clicking the mid mouse button here, which created the aligned dimension, you will have to create far to the right or far to the left. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and click on the right. So mid mouse button on the extreme right, And as soon as I do that, again you can see that there are two strong dimensions which are contradicting with it. So one of these two dimensions, one of these three dimensions actually, you'll have to delete in order to be able to get this. So in case I want this, I'll have to delete one of these two. So I'll just go ahead and delete this one, and now it allows me to have the horizontal distance and the vertical distance. So let me just make it as 5. So this is how you will be able to create the dimensions. Okay, so with left click you'll have to select the points or reference points, and mid mouse button, depending on where you click, the appropriate dimension will be created. So let me also tell you about we can also delete these constraints that are getting created. So this is horizontal constraint, you can just select it and delete it. Once you do that, you can see an additional dimension of angle will appear, and you will also be able to change this angle the way you want. Let me undo this, and if you try to create an angular dimension between the lines where the constraints are already defining the angle, in such case again the the contradiction, the resolve sketch box will appear, and it will display all the entities, all the constraints that are fighting on themselves. So you can choose one of them either from here or from the graphic area. Okay, and you can delete them to get this. So now, because I have deleted the vertical dimension, this line is getting modified. And while this is happening, you can see the length here. This was not a horizontal length, this was the length, the distance between the distance of this point from this line. Okay, so if you want exactly a horizontal distance, you have to again choose the dimensions, click on these 2 points and click extremely downwards or extremely at the top. So this will create a horizontal dimension. I don't want this, delete it, and you can define this. Oh, sorry. So let's say, okay, so this is how you can create the dimensions and apply the constraints, right? So okay, I've not shown you how to apply the constraints. So let us say I want to make a line horizontal, so I just have to click on horizontal, click on this. Again, when I want this line to be horizontal, one of the two strong dimensions I'll have to delete. So let me just go ahead and delete this. Now it is horizontal, and if you even drag and see, it will always remain horizontal as far as this constraint will be applied on it. Let's undo. Same way, if you want to make this vertical, just click on vertical and click on this line, and it will again display a list of constraints that are fighting. You just have to select one of them, delete it. And you can see now it is horizontal, this is vertical, this is horizontal. So okay, so now that we have understood how these things work, let us finally go ahead and check out how what these functions do. Let me draw another line here, so let this and come to this. Now let us say I want to create a corner, so I just have to click on corner and two entities which have open free ends, so click here and here. So you can see these lines got extended in order to result in a corner point, right? So that's what a corner does. Now let us see how you can trim the entities. So let us say we have an overlapping structure like this, and when you click on delete segment, you will get an option to drag and create a random path like this, and whatever sketch entities it passes through, those entities will get trimmed. Okay, so you can just drag these lines and make it pass through whichever entities you want to delete. So that's how this will get created. And as soon as you have a closed entity, closed single entity, it will get shaded up like this to show that it is ready for extrusion or any other 3D modeling commands, 3D modeling features actually. All right, you also have the option to select the entities and click on this button, which allows you to move the entity to wherever you want. You can also right click and move this reference point to some selected reference point, and then left click to move it wherever you want. Okay, it will also show a relative position from the initial point so that you can move it with exact value. This value here shows us the scaling factor, which you can double click and change. If you want to make it double the size from initial, you can do that. And this symbol here allows you to rotate it about the base point, right? So moving is possible by this, scaling is possible by this. You can also drag it, and rotation is possible from here, which you can also give it from by double clicking on this dimension. So this way you'll be able to move it. If you want to mirror it about some entity, you'll first need a reference line. Let me create this. Select these entities. Now the mirror command is active, and click on mirror and select the axis about which you want it to mirror, and this has created the mirrored entity. Now you can see when I move any one side of this, the other side will always keep the point mirrored. Okay, so this is how the mirror command works. There are other options as well. We'll come to see it later. Let's go ahead with this and be done with that. So divide command will divide any entity into two objects. So now you can see there is a point in the middle, and that point has divided this into two segments. So one of these segments you can select and delete it. Okay, so this is how you can divide any particular line entity. If an object is overlapping, you can this line. If an object is overlapping like this, deleting on this will remove it. But without removing, if you want to divide it, you can use this option over here. Okay, so that's it with this. Let's go ahead and check out all the other options that we have. Just delete all these entities. The line command we have seen, and in the line command we have other options. Let's create two circles first. Click on circle and click two circles. Now mid mouse button you can click to come out of this. Now again, let's say if you want these two center points to be on the same horizontal line, you just need to click on horizontal, click on these 2 points, they will become horizontal, and the constraint for the same will also appear here. And also if you want them to be equal in radii, you can just click on equal and select the two circles. Now the equal constraint has also got applied. At the moment you change one of the dimensions, the other of the radius of the other will also be changing according to it. So now if I click on this line tangent and select the circle, you can see the line is becoming tangential to the circle whatever I'm selecting. Okay, so I can click here. Okay, I want it this side. So depending on where, how you want it, what direction you want, you can just move it and then click. Okay. So this way you can create tangents. Once that is done, you can just trim extra parts. You can see you will get something like this. Right, so okay, now that is done. So this way you can create circles. Now circle will have center point and diameter when the circle is drawn initially, and if the circle is not full, if you delete this, you can see you will get a radius by default. So let's see what are the other options in the circle. You will get option to create concentric circles. So you will have to select one of the circles, and then concentric with that circle you can create multiple circles, whichever you want. Okay, so this is about concentric. Then you 3-point circle. If you have, let us say, a set of lines. Okay, the lines are already defined, so let us say we want to use the 3 points of this triangle, and we want the circle to pass through all these 3 points. Then we can go ahead and use the 3-point circle. So first, second, third. So the circle, you can see it is always something out here. Let's delete this. Let's bring it out. Now again 3 point, first point, second point, Now the circle will always pass through the 3 points which we selected. So that is 3-point circle. And then we have 3 tangents. In this case, the circle will remain tangential to any 3 entities. So first circle, second line, third line. Now this circle, you can see, will always remain tangential to this line, and this circle. So this way there are various different options for drawing the circle. Same way you have different options for drawing the arcs. Default is of course the 3-point method. The first point, second point, and then you can drag and draw the circle. So now the circles are getting highlighted one by one, which means we are creating an arc of radius equal to these circles. So when I click whichever circle was highlighted, the radius of this arc will be equal to that particular circle. So be careful while doing that. Okay, so now that we are done with the circle and arcs, we have understood it. If you have any more doubts, you can just let me know in the comments, and I'll create the video for those in the coming time. So I think this is what you will need at this point of time. We will cover more of these in the coming videos, and in order to keep the video short, I'm just ending it here. See you in the next one. Thank you.